Hi, everyone. Awesome. I just really love that song. I really do. So very, very thankful to hear that. So welcome to another episode of Recruitment in the Spotlight. I'm Lasana Pakeman, the California Firefighter Joint Apprenticeship Committee's Recruitment Coordinator and your host for today. Recruitment in the Spotlight is Cal-JAC's virtual talk show where we explore all things recruitment and answer your questions about becoming a firefighter. Today we're joined by firefighters from the Cosumnes Fire Department who will share their personal journeys into the fire service as well as helpful information about their hiring process. We will also be discussing the importance of mechanical reasoning skills, which are essential for both the testing process and the job itself. And later in the program, our guests will take us to explore their fire apparatus as well. We'll be answering your questions throughout the whole event, so please type any of your questions that you have into the Q&A box at any time throughout the show. We'll do our very best to answer each question, but if we can't get to it during the event, we will follow up with an answer after today's episode. So without any further ado, I'm so happy to introduce the experts themselves, the Cosumnes Fire Department. Hi guys, how's it going?
It's going good. Thank you for having us.
Good, good. So with us here today, we have Captain Nicholas Mello.
That's right.
All right. And we also have firefighter paramedic Gilberto Gonzalez.
How's it going?
All right. Hi. And so joining us remotely, we have Captain Paramedic John Nguyen. That was a big wave. Thank you. We also have Engineer Tyson Whittegren. All right. We also have firefighter paramedic Anya Langowich. And lastly, we have firefighter paramedic Masato Seiki. All right. How's it going down there?
All doing well. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Thanks for having us
Awesome.
here.
You guys see that energy? They're energetic down there. This is good. Thank you guys so much for being here. So we're going to start out by having each of you just tell us a little bit about your journey into the fire service. So Captain Nick, if we could start with you.
Sure. Gosh, I started out at UC Davis doing my undergrad, and I actually had aspirations for medical school. Once I graduated, I realized that was a long journey I didn't want to take. It just wasn't for me. So while going to UC Davis, I actually became an EMT through their through a program there, and I started working for AMR, and I got some valuable EMT experience. So after graduating from Davis, I went to American River College and went to paramedic school there, became a paramedic. And I kept my job at AMR, but just upgraded to paramedic. And I thought that experience really set me up for success to become a firefighter. And then once I got some experience as a paramedic, I started testing. And Cosumnes Fire seemed like the best fit for me. And here I am 14 years later, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, congratulations. Sounds like you're having a good time.
I am, every day.
Awesome. And so let's hear from you. How's your experience been?
My experience and my journey has been a little bit different. I was that kid, the 3-4-year-old kid who was just completely obsessed with the fire service. I grew up down the street from a fire station, and that had a huge contribution to that sort of obsession that I had. As I got older, I was a junior or senior in high school. I began to ask a few more questions, see what path I should be able to be taking to achieve this goal of firefighting. Of a career firefighter. So I found out I had to go to EMT school, which I attended Napa Valley College, and also attended paramedic school at Napa Valley College, all while taking some fire classes simultaneously. Shortly after that, getting some experience as a paramedic and becoming a reserve firefighter at one of my local fire departments as well. So after that, I began to apply, took the Fctc, took the CPAT test, and was fortunate enough to land a job here at Cosumnes Fire.
Okay, well, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you very
so
much. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So we'll jump down to those of you that are joining us remotely. And so, Captain Nguyen, if we could hear from you regarding your path into the fire service and just what that looked like for you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let's see here. I've come to find that my path is one of many. I was born in Vietnam. Came here when I was 8 with my parents. We immigrated to Elk Grove, California. So It was quite the experience. Learned a lot in the first year, how to speak English, still fluent in Vietnamese. I'm able to contribute to the community in that sense. As I work here for the fire department, it's been a wonderful experience to have that and be able to see some of the similarities in the community as I go out there. Went to school at Laguna Creek High School, graduated from there, played football, was where I met my coach. He was a firefighter for Metro Fire. And from there, he said, hey, why don't you come out to the firehouse, visit us a little bit, and see if you can make a career out of it. Went on one ride along, and I knew immediately that was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Did the test, took the test, several tests, failed, tried again, went to paramedic school, where I got my paramedic license and worked in Stockton, California for AMR. And then from there, I did the fire internship, got on with the fire department in 2007 with my buddy Tyson here next to me, along with Captain Mello, Nick Mello. We went through the academy together in 2007. Graduated from Sac State, took the captain's test, and here I am with all these fine folks and yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Engineer Tyson Whittegren, if we could hear from you.
Hi, Lozano. Yeah, thank you. My name's Tyson. I'm 38 years old. My journey started out, I feel fortunate that I too, at a young age, knew I wanted to be a firefighter. It started out with the ROP program in high school, where it's kind of designed to get your foot in the door. You learn some things. You start your Firefighter 1 skills and kind of realize if it's for you or not. And a lot of people realize it's not for them. For myself and many others, it was definitely what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that kind of set me on that trajectory to pursue it. Back then, it was a little difficult to get hired. There was a lot of candidates trying to get hired, not a lot of departments hiring. So I had to really stay persistent and really pursue the career and just keep adding to my resume until finally I made myself a competitive candidate. And what that looked like was, again, the ROP program. Then I got hired with Cal Fire, worked a couple seasons as a seasonal firefighter for Cal Fire, which was a great experience. In between the seasons, I actually went down to South America and became a volunteer firefighter down there for about a half a year. And that's also where I began the journey of learning Spanish, subsequently to marry a Colombian and speak Spanish at home with her. After that, went to paramedic school, worked for AMR in Colorado and California for about 3 years, and then finally got hired with Cosumnes Fire Department, my dream department, right where I grew up, with, again, Captain Wynn and Captain Mello, and it's been the 14 years of the best years of my life, honestly.
Well, that's awesome. It's so good to hear. Thank you so much for that. If you could pass down the mic, please, to firefighter paramedic Anya Langovich.
Thank you. I started my career as a seasonal lifeguard down in Southern California. That's where I kind of found my niche for rescue, water rescue, and all the medical side of things. I then pursued EMT, came up to Northern California to get my paramedic license, got my paramedic license, and started sniffing around at different opportunities, found Cosumnes Fire, and got hired, have been there for 3 years, and now on the USAR Task Force 7 in Sacramento County.
Well, thank you so much. All right.
Hi, I'm Ma Seiki, firefighter paramedic on 74B shift. I first got into EMS back when I got out of high school. I was kind of doing back and forth jobs, warehouses, things like that. And my brother actually convinced me to do a ride-along with him. He was an explorer for the LA County Fire Department. And after my first ride-along, I was hooked. It was just awesome. So I got into EMT school, worked in doing EMT for a while. And then I furthered into paramedicine, became a paramedic, worked for in Bakersfield for about 6 years. And from there, I figured it's time to keep going and took the Fctc test and did the CPAT. And Cosumnes actually hit me up on my email and asked me to apply with them. So I applied with Cosumnes, and it's been a great experience. Been here over 3 years now. It's been awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it's so good to have all of you here. Thank you so much for sharing each of your personal experiences. And so for those of you watching at home, you know, you heard ROP, AMR, travel, classes, jobs, warehouses, explorers, reserves, lots of different experience out there for you to get. And so we want you to hear these unique stories so that you can kind of curate your own path. And so while everyone's journey into the fire service looks a little different, Cal-JAC has created a roadmap to becoming a firefighter, which provides a step-by-step overview of what it takes to achieve your goal, landing a job in the fire service. So check out the link to Cal-JAC's roadmap. It's in the chat box below, so you can follow along as Cosumnes breaks down how these steps apply specifically to their department. And don't forget, save the roadmap, use it for future reference. There's a lot of good tips in there. So we're gonna jump right into the roadmap, and we can jump right into number 1 on the roadmap, which is education. So Captain, would you mind telling us how candidates can prepare educationally, things that they should be looking for?
Sure. The first thing really is a first step in a long road is take a CPR class. If you're starting from scratch, you've never done anything like this before, take a CPR class. The next step is EMT school. Once you become an EMT, you can take a couple different paths from there. You can get a job with a private ambulance company and start getting some EMT experience, which, trust me, that will be valuable in your long career path. Some folks choose to go to a Firefighter 1 Academy, as you pointed out on your roadmap to success here. But in my opinion, paramedic school really is what makes you marketable as a candidate. We hire mostly paramedics. We have a recruit class going right now who has a few EMTs. But really, if you're trying to be competitive, being a paramedic and getting that paramedic license is really the golden ticket. As far as the next steps, I'm going to let Gilberto take those because it's been a couple years for me.
Let's hear from you, Gilberto.
Yeah, so as far as physical fitness and the written testing portion of the Fctc, there's an abundance of information that you can get from the Cal-JAC website. As far as what is on the test, there's some prep questions and even like a mock test for the written that's available to everybody. You can absolutely go out there and look for books that have a lot of prep questions that can help better prepare you for the written testing. The physical portion, I would absolutely say just have a baseline level of fitness prior to taking the CPAT. Be able to run a couple miles, definitely have some endurance and some strength. If you're not comfortable with lifting weights just yet, start out with just basic body weight workouts, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, that sort of thing. And that would definitely help you prepare for the physical aspect. There's also videos available of the actual test that you can, if you're interested in a more specific portion of that.
Awesome, awesome. And I recall on you guys' social media, maybe months ago, you guys did a series of videos on at-home workouts that you can do to stay physically fit during this time. So as we transition out of this particular phase, you can definitely take a look at their social media platform. They put together some excellent videos by our Firestar team, or with our Firestar team. And so thank you so much for that. And so also, along with the written test preparation, Fctc, the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center, does offer written test prep classes. And so we will be launching in the coming months a virtual version, so feel free to jump in for that. Visit the Fctc website if you have questions at fctconline.org. And so we're just going to jump right into step number 3, which is research. And so for a candidate who's researching a department, should they limit themselves to what's on the website, or what's a good way to research a department?
Yeah, I've sat on a number of hiring interview panels as a rater and a person being evaluated. And I can say that with confidence that station visits really are where you get a feel for the culture. The website is a great place to start because reading the mission statements, finding out the number of stations, the facts, if you will, the hard facts of the fire department. Yeah, I mean, those things are what they are. But to really get a feel for yourself, if it's a good fit, is visit stations and talk to the crews. You'll get all kinds of fun stories and different paths, reasons for being there, and see if you kind of jive with the people that you are hoping to work with.
Absolutely.
To add on to that, just when you do your research, absolutely don't limit yourself. Take a holistic view, really research the department and the area, and even surrounding areas, just to see what other departments that they may provide mutual aid with, or what kind of relationships they have with those departments as well. Yeah. Anything else?
No?
Okay, awesome, awesome. So we're gonna jump right into steps number 4 and 5. And Gilberto, I'm gonna kick this one off to you, but can you talk to candidates about the application process, the oral interview process, and just what that's like and what they should expect and how to prepare for your department?
You know, I'm gonna pass this question downstairs.
Okay.
I'll kick it off to Seiki.
The best way to practice and be prepared is if you go online, there's lots of resources out there of all these different interview type of questions you can look up. There's one that's like the 50 best interview questions for firefighters, and preparing for that. You can make down bullet points between each question that really something that you really want to get out to the panel with that certain question. If you try writing out a whole paragraph of something to memorize, it's just not going to happen in the interview. If you get down bullet points, that'll definitely stick with you a little bit better. And then practicing that with your friends and family, and even at a firehouse. If you have a local firehouse, you know, you call them up, hey, is it possible to do a mock interview? Things like that to get prepared. And a lot of times they're definitely going to say yes, especially with COVID kind of winding down and allowing people into the firehouses and things like that. It's definitely a great opportunity to practice in front of actual firefighters.
I'll add on to that if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyson Whittaker.
You know, I was just going to say, just to add on to that, you know, there's the preparation for, okay, what question are they going to ask me? You know, what's the right answer? But I think the overarching theme that you should consider when you're in that interview panel is just be yourself, be genuine, you know, obviously be confident and everything without being arrogant, but just be yourself. We're just normal people, and we want to find somebody that we're going to enjoy working with for 30 years. Typically turnover rates, especially here at Cosumnes, are very, very low. And, you know, people, when they get hired here, they don't leave. And it's a great place to work, and we want to bring other people along that we really enjoy working with. And, you know, you can always teach somebody how to throw a ladder, but you can't teach them how to be a good person if they don't have that in them. So just be yourself, and then, you know, of course, do the preparation. Obviously, those who prepare get lucky, but yeah, just be yourself, and don't try to bluff, don't try to fool anybody, and just be genuine. That'll go a long way.
For sure, for sure. Such good insight. Definitely. That was really, really good. Thank you so much for that. And so we're going to jump right into the final step on the roadmap. So hopefully you're still following along. This is step 6. And so you're starting the job, you're beginning probation. What's the life of a probationary firefighter? You know, what is that like, and station life? How do you transition to that? Who do you feel like would be a good person to answer this question?
I'll take that. I just got off probation maybe a year and a half ago, so still pretty fresh to it. Definitely coming out of academy, you have an expectation. You know, our academy consists of 6 months, 4 days a week, and it's pretty rigorous. So when you come out of that academy, you still have that high intensity and high expectation of level of training, and it's definitely good to bring that into the fire station as well, because it rubs off on everybody else. As a probationary firefighter, you definitely want to put your best foot forward. Be the one to help me out here.
You got to maintain that enthusiasm. You know, they've coming out of the academy, these folks, they've been through a lot, physically, mentally, it's tough. And I think some folks, when they get out into the field, you know, they kind of want to let their hair down a little bit, but that's when the real test begins, to see who you are as a person. And what the funny thing that recruits don't realize is we need that enthusiasm from them. And this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So when we see folks come out of the academy and they're, you know, having a good time, they teach us stuff too. So it's a good thing. I don't think they realize how important that enthusiasm is to themselves and to all of us.
Is it like a circle of life?
It is.
Is that what I'm hearing? That's beautiful, and I really mean that. That really is beautiful, and just how that exchange happens, how that works.
Sure.
That's incredible. So now that you've heard these unique experiences. And you've learned more about getting into the fire service, you have a solid overview of the process. You know, let's answer some of your questions that you've been submitting in the chat. So it looks like we have a couple questions coming in. We'll start out with the first one.
Thank you, Lasana. Our first question is from Elijah Arrington, who would like to know, is an education necessary? If so, do you have any majors or associate degrees that you would recommend?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'll take that one, actually. So I have a college degree, I have a bachelor's degree. Although it's not necessary to be successful in this career, I mean, the minimum qualifications are what they are: high school education, EMT, paramedic. But I learned two things in college, in my time in college. How to think, how to critically think, and how to study. And this is a profession of constant learning. And if you're not constantly learning, then you're not doing it right. So, and that, whether that's learning the job, studying for a promotional test or interview, whatever the case may be, I think that the critical thinking and study habits that you build in college will help you be successful in the long term. But it's not a critical like make or break type thing. And in terms of majors, I happen to have a psychology major, and a lot of people think that's something different than what it really is. I think it does help because it's, I deal with people all the time. That's part of my job, is just dealing with people in a good way, and I really enjoy it. So it's given me kind of a unique perspective. But the beautiful thing about the fire service is that people come from all walks of life, all educational backgrounds, all jobs. So we meld our experiences together into this unique group that solves problems for a living, and I love it. I think it's the greatest thing ever. So.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just to add something onto that too, it's even when you're in the fire service and you've already started your career, it's never too late to go back to school and continue to pursue that education. I'm currently pursuing a bachelor's degree, and I'm almost 4 years into the fire service, so definitely have the time. It's a great schedule to go back to school and pursue that education.
I believe Captain Nguyen actually did the same thing. He got his degree as an adult, already working.
Captain Nguyen, did you want to jump in and add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nick. Nick's right. I think timing, too, has a lot to do with it. If right now the minimum requirements to get on is being an EMT and being a paramedic, then I think it's crucial to have that type of training, even the experience that you need to get on with the department. I initially started out at Sac State for 2 semesters. I actually was in good standing when I decided that I really want to pursue being a paramedic. So I stopped going to school with the plan of going back. I promised myself I would. And after I achieved getting my license and getting on with the department, actually about 7 years into the job, I returned to Sac State, and our schedule allows us to have so many shift trades and be able to take part-time vacation while working, that I was able to go back to school full-time and receive my degree. And I know plenty of others that do that, and it's just not the brick and mortar school. You also have options to go online. Columbia Southern is one of them, and some others that off the top of my head I can't remember, but those are the options that you have.
Excellent, excellent. And so you're hearing these first take examples, and so thank you so much for sharing each of your experiences. We have time for a couple more questions. Let's jump into the second one.
Thank you, Lasana. It looks like this next question is specifically for Firefighter and Nia. We would like to know, how does being a female affect you as a firefighter, and how does staying at the station overnight look, along with just kind of a general working schedule, so that doesn't have to be as female specific, of being a firefighter?
So, working, especially with Cosumnes is very unique because we're at this perfect stage in the department where we're small but not quite large, so everyone still has this family feel to it. So all the guys I work with, they're just brothers. They're fun to be around, hang out. Our stations, most of them, we have partitioned walls. We have our own locker room. Girls have their locker room. Boys have their locker rooms. So you get your privacy there, but for the most part, it's just hanging out with the guys and having fun and having a good time going to work. Our work schedule is 2 days on, 4 days off, so 48-96. So like everybody was talking about with school, you've got the days off to be able to get an education or have your hobbies on the side. But overall, as a female, I personally grew up very much a tomboy. And so for me to be able to hang out with my brothers, or some people say the guys, it's just like another day in my life. I don't feel like I'm going to work when I go to work. I'm going and hanging out with my friends and family.
The one thing that I'm hearing from all of you is it's a dream job. You work for the dream department, and this is just a dream job.
Oh, most definitely.
We feel the vibes. Yeah, well, this is awesome. So let's jump into the third question.
Thank you, Lasana. This is going to be the last question for this section. It is a question from Marcel. Marcel would like to know, are there any specific age requirements? Is there an age cutoff? And also Jonathan would like to know what the minimum qualifications for getting hired are, if you can kind of put that all together for us.
Mm-hmm. So age requirements and minimum qualifications.
I believe the minimum age requirement is 18 years old. I don't believe there is a cap for that, right? No. We've hired recruits who have been 38 years old. I think in this last academy, 39 potentially.
We've had people turn 21 in the academy.
Yeah, people have turned 21 in the academy. A few of us in my academy were fortunate enough to get hired pretty young at 23 years old. As far as the minimum qualifications for our department, valid driver's license, EMT for this last academy was an appropriate requirement. Usually it's paramedic though, as well as the Fctc, I believe a passing grade of 70 or higher, and the CPAT card.
Awesome, awesome. And so to be on the statewide eligibility list, to go through the Fctc route, like you heard Moss mention earlier, you do have to meet 5 criteria to be on the statewide eligibility list. You have to have passed your written test with a 70% or higher. You have to pass the CPAT, the Cal-JAC CPAT. You also have to be 18 or older to begin the process. You have to list your highest level of education. You can also upload any additional certifications along with that. And you have to have a valid driver's license. So just a heads up on that. So as you can see, no matter where you are in the process, it's important for firefighter candidates to keep their knowledge and skills sharp. So in this next segment, we're going to take a closer look at one essential skill, and that's mechanical reasoning, and why mechanical aptitude is so important on the job. So in case you're wondering, what is mechanical reasoning? In short, it's the ability to visualize and reason how objects work, how they operate or interact. So for instance, learning how and when to use hand tools, power tools, firefighting apparatus, and other equipment is necessary for your success in the fire service. So Nick and Gilberto, can you give candidates a little more insight as to why mechanical reasoning is so crucial, and why is this even an important skill in the fire service?
We can, but I think a better person for that would be Engineer Whittegren, actually.
All right, let's hear from you, Engineer Whittegren.
I never thought you'd ask. Yeah, thanks. So my rank is engineer. For those that don't know, it's basically the next rank in line after firefighter. You start out as a recruit firefighter, then you become firefighter, then engineer. So basically I'm the guy that drives, and I'm responsible for everything on the fire engine, whether it's chainsaws, hand tools, ladders, hose, the medical gear. Basically, my duties are just to maintain it in a proper condition and ready for work. And what comes along with that territory is it's good to have a grasp on how things work and how things move together. We as firefighters, we work a lot with our hands. Believe it or not, we do work a lot on the computers too, with classes and recertifications and reports for the medical aids. But one thing we do a lot of is work with just tools and our hands and things that move and space and weight and leverage and mechanical advantage. So one thing that is good to have is mechanical aptitude or reasoning. And so what we have here is actually a prop, and you might have a written test that might have a picture of this. It might say, if gear A is moving clockwise, what direction would gear Y be moving? And so I'll walk you through that real quick, and so you can visualize what I'm talking about. But over here, we got this gear train, right? So these circles with teeth on them. If one is moving one way, if you look at it, every other gear moves the same direction. So the one immediately adjacent is going to move opposite, right? So if this is going counterclockwise, the next one's moving clockwise, then that would be counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise. And so if you look at that and you can, without even touching it, visualize that when this moves counterclockwise, we go all the way down here and it's moving opposite. If that kind of comes easy to you, then that's called mechanical aptitude, or the ability to reason mechanically. And that's a really good trait to have, because again, with our line of work, working with the tools and everything we do, it comes into play. For example, if I have to clean the chainsaw, I'm taking it apart, I take the chain off, turn it around, put it all back together. I better really hope that I can put it back together with the chain, facing the right way, so it works properly when I need it. So that's an example there. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much. I feel like that probably looks like the inside of my watch or something like that. I feel, after watching that, I feel a little bit more prepared to kind of take it apart, maybe put it back together. Maybe I'll need another demonstration. I'm not really sure. But thank you so much. I know that mechanical reasoning is also covered on the Fctc written test. So you want to be aware of that as well. So now we'd like to show you another mechanical reasoning concept in action. So let's check out a video from when we had a chance to visit the Cosumnes Training Center earlier this week.
So hi, my name is Joel. I'm with the Cosumnes Fire Department. We're here today. I'm going to be demonstrating how to force this door and how to properly use these tools that we refer to as the irons. Okay, the irons comprise a 8-pound flat-headed axe for us and then a Pro-Bar Halligan. So some of the things with this Halligan and the mechanical advantage and some of the mechanical aptitude we need for that is this is a 30-inch bar, and it has different facets to it. This flat section chisel end right here is called an adze. This we refer to as the pick, and this is the fork ends of the Halligan. With this bar being 30 inches and this adze right here being 6 inches long, if I go and use this tool to pry the door back like this, in that fashion, this gives me a mechanical advantage of 5 to 1. And the way I get that is you take 6 inches or 30 inches over 6 inches, and that's my 5 to 1 mechanical advantage. To increase that mechanical advantage when I'm forcing this door, if I take this flat-headed section called the adze, which is 2 inches right here, and a 30-inch bar, and if I rotate it up, then that gives me a mechanical advantage of 15 to 1, because I'm only prying against the 2-inch section of the adze. So those are some of the common ways we use this tool and how we can maximize efficiency with our mechanical advantage when it comes to the Halligan.
You know, this is awesome, just to be able to have this information available and to be able to learn that skill, you know, and to have the exposure to that. You know, so we've learned so much today just about mechanical reasoning. So we'd like to get to your questions in the Q&A box. We're so thankful that you continue to submit them. So we're just going to jump right into the very next question.
Thank you, Lasana. Our next question is from Jose Lozano, who would like to know, how can I prepare for the mechanical reasoning portion of the Fctc written test?
So as you saw, I'll just jump in really quickly, but as you saw downstairs, Engineer Whittegren was manipulating the mechanical reasoning prop that had to do with gears. We have a series of those at each of our Fctc facilities, and so you're more than welcome to attend on a test day or when the site is open, and you can manipulate the different props. I'm not sure if you saw in the background, but there's a great description that explains how each of the props works. They also coincide with a written test prep course that we have to offer, and we believe in preparation. We're big on that, so we want to make sure that you're exposed to that. Do you guys have any other ways that candidates can maybe prepare for mechanical reasoning for the exam?
YouTube is your friend. Yeah, I YouTube everything. So I'm not the most mechanical person in the world, so if I was preparing for that test, I would turn to YouTube.
Additional resources.
I definitely say, you know, do your research, but also try to apply that stuff to your everyday life. Look up the different classes of levers or how those gears work. If you have a chainsaw yourself, maybe break it apart, just get your hands on it. Just immerse yourself in the topic.
Absolutely. So we have the Fctc written test prep course. We have YouTube University. Also, okay, and there's lots of different resources. Fctc, the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center, also offers a study guide online. And so if you're the type of learner that prefers to kind of teach yourself information, you can also utilize that.
Thanks, Lasana. We just have one more question for this section. John Holton would like to know, what kind of on-the-job opportunities do you have for training?
Ooh. You know what? Let's let Captain Wynn answer this question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Captain Wynn, we're going to jump down to you, and can you jump in and answer this question? And let's repeat the question really quickly just so you can hear it one more time.
Sure. Yep.
So, John Holton would like to know what kind of on-the-job opportunities are available for training in mechanical reasoning.
Yep, absolutely. I just want to tag back to that last question. There are textbooks online. I went through them. You can look for mechanical reasoning books or preparation book that will help you with the testing process. As far as on-the-job training, I'm going to split this question with Moss over here, but we are a part of the heavy rescue program here at Cosumnes Fire. We provide one of 3 heavy rescues in Sacramento County. And what that is our ability to perform technical rescue, whether we're removing someone from swift water, heavy machinery, trench rescue, high angle, low angle, working with ropes, tools, and equipment. Those are the on-the-job opportunities you have. In the academy, we are teaching, as you saw the video from Captain Burke, the very basics of mechanical aptitude. We'll teach you how to use a hammer. We'll teach you how to build things with, pretty much all the basic tools that you would have around the house, how to measure, how to cut using saws, either hand saws, circ saws, chainsaws, anything that we can get our hands on. And then we'll kind of bring in the special subject matter experts in terms of teaching you rescue skills. So those rescue skills include something like holding up a building, shoring up a building. That is something that you have to basically have a pamphlet. You look through it, measure what's there using the tools that's available to you. It's actually applicable to real life events right now with what's going on in Miami with the most recent building collapse. We're on with the Task Force 7, the 3 of us, and Gilberto in the studio. Our team is ready to go, ready to shore up, understanding how much concrete weighs and all that stuff, understanding how to cut through rebars. So you learn a lot of that in our rescue program. Moss, you have anything extra?
Yeah, absolutely. The department is actually very supportive too of the firefighters individually. If you have some sort of topic that you're pretty knowledgeable on, you did some research on, you want to bring it back to the department and share with them, they'll actually set aside time for you to come on your off-duty time, teach other crews, you can have in-house training you can do with your own crews. And we have a heavy rescue within Cosumnes. So the department, we have a great training ground. It's very unique. We have a lot of opportunities there to do some really cool training. And we actually sponsor a lot of classes such as trench rescue, rescue systems 2, all these different rescue classes that Captain John Wynn is an instructor for. And if you're a member of Cosumnes, you actually do get a really good deal on taking part in those classes and getting those certifications, as well as the other outside agencies are also welcome to join in on those as well too. So we have a lot of opportunities for training and advancing your knowledge.
Thank you so much for that, Moss. I'm hearing lots of opportunities throughout the Cosumnes Fire Department for opportunities for training and just exposure to training in mechanical reasoning. So this is excellent. We'd also like you to know that in the chat, we've placed the study guide that I referenced earlier by Fctc. And so we want you to take advantage of that, utilize that, lots of resources on the Fctc website. And so we're coming down to the final call for questions. So please type them in while you still can. Remember that if we don't get to your question today, we will contact you directly with an answer after the show. So as we wait for the remaining questions to trickle in, let's check in with Engineer Tyson Whittegren and Firefighter Moss. And so we want to see who will be joining us remotely to check out an additional apparatus with the Cosumnes Fire Department.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, let's do this, Moss. So kind of tying it back into mechanical reasoning and how that comes into play with this type of work. One of the tools we have on every Type 1 fire engine with Cosumnes Fire Department is the portable Combi tool. And that's actually one thing that sets us apart from most agencies. Most agencies only have the extrication tools on the heavy rescues or the trucks, but we actually have a Combi tool. It's kind of a good all-in-one tool that we have on every single Type 1 engine. And this is basically something that we can use with the first arriving apparatus on like a vehicle accident where somebody's trapped. I'm sure you've heard of the jaws of life. So this is a compact version of the jaws of life that this is actually, it's called a Combi tool, which means combination tool because it's both a spreader and a cutter. And what is awesome about these new versions is they're cordless. So Moss is going to show us so it's almost like your Makita drill at home, but a 41-pound Makita. Pop that in, and now we have 337,000 pounds of spreading force, some cutting force, all while being cordless, just battery operated. The hydraulics work similarly to the old ones that had the gas motor and the lines, but the hydraulic motor is battery powered. So very awesome. And again, we have that on all of our Type 1 fire engines here at Cosumnes. But tying it back into the mechanical reasoning, obviously, if you're dealing with 337,000 pounds of force, it's good to know, kind of have an understanding of where to put that force. If you're going to ram that into the door seam of a car and start you want to go ahead and turn that on. You can show how it opens and closes.
Press the button.
Real easy. So it's just a radial dial here to open it. And right there, what he's doing is he's applying 337,000 pounds of force on the outside of these arms here. And then as he goes in, it's going to be 13,000 pounds of cutting force. So where the mechanical reasoning comes in is it's good to know that due to leverage and mechanical advantage that the maximum cutting force is going to be right here up at the notch, what we call right there at the cutting notch. So again, knowing where your forces are applied and what that's capable of doing, again, comes with the job, and having a good grasp of that is essential. So there you have it, the Hurst Combi tool.
It looks like a lifesaver.
Definitely.
Yeah, so thank you so much for the demonstration. We want to hop back into the chat and answer more of your questions.
So our next question was actually asked by a few different people, some different things about background. So could you talk about what it's like if you were arrested for a crime and then later exonerated, the time frame when a criminal background doesn't affect you anymore in the application process, and also how points on your DMV record affect you?
These are all really good questions.
Yeah, great question. I'm not a background investigator, and I don't work for Fctc, so I don't have a stake in this matter. But I would say, if you're passionate about doing this job, then you got to try. So, I mean, we're one department of many, and we're one field of many. In other words, like if you're interested in Cal Fire, doing more wildland, Forest Service, some of those requirements or stipulations might be a little bit different. I can't really speak to the nuances of someone's background. I mean, I can tell you there is a background check that is done, but those are questions for a background investigator, unless anybody else has anything else to add.
Sure. Is there anyone else from your team that'd like to add anything?
Yeah, I got something to add. So when there is a background investigation portion of getting hired, and it's super important to be as honest as you can with that, because which something may be very small to us, if you withheld it and a background investigator finds it, that kind of shows there's probably some integrity issues and some honesty issues. So it's really important to be as honest as you can, because maybe whatever you're about to write down isn't even that big of a deal. So just be as honest as you can with those background investigations.
And so I've heard that they can be pretty extensive, the background check. So you want to make sure all bases are covered and that you're honest throughout. That's awesome. So let's go ahead into the next question.
Our next question is, what is the best way to figure out what the mechanical advantage is when using a rope and pulley system?
This is a question for the rescue folks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a variety of different ways. I'm going to pass this down to John Wynn. He's definitely our rescue guy in this group here.
I am. Just kidding. Yeah. What is the best way? There are multiple ways. When I teach mechanical advantage, I actually teach the very basics, and up until a point, counting moving pulleys and stationary pulleys for me, when I first learned it, was real easy. It gets to the point where you want to count on the forces that's applied to not only the anchor, but the forces that's applied, or at least how much weight the rope is taking on a terminal end on the real deal, which is the victim and the rescuer. So not only how much force that rope is taking, where the rescuer and the victims are, but at the same time, how much force is applied to that anchor that is holding them onto the system. So we call that the T method, and that is something that we teach in an advanced rope class that's available to all fire personnel. We teach that once a year. There's one going on today down at McClellan. It's a cohort of instructors from all departments in Sacramento area, and we those classes are always ongoing, and the first place you would learn something like that would be in our academy in our RS1 rope system.
I'll add on to that.
Yeah.
And then just to add on, like Captain Miller said, you know, the University of YouTube, right? I mean, if you're unable to attend a class or be able to participate in these drills, just Google YouTube, and I mean, you can learn anything under the sun. So yeah, just Google, or you look up on YouTube, mechanical advantage, look up Z-rig or 3-to-1 ratio, and that'll kind of lay out what a rope system looks like for the mechanical advantage of lifting heavy loads.
Awesome, awesome. And so I know that we also have a rope as part of the CPAT course. So when you come out and you take the CPAT, we do have a practice test available for you. You can register to take that and get some exposure to the ladder along with the rope and pulley system there. We also have a prop at Fctc. Similar to the one you're looking at on gears, we have one dedicated to ropes and pulleys that does an excellent explanation of the rope and pulley system, and it outlines exactly what the experts here are sharing today. So awesome. I think we have time for one additional question, and so we're going to jump right into that.
We do. Diana Lopez would like to know, how can they get involved with ride-alongs with Cosumnes?
All right, ride-alongs. How does that work? What's the process?
There is a process. I believe it's spelled out on our website, and it goes through all the requirements and paperwork. I believe there might be even like a live scan component, which is like a fingerprinting at local school board or police station. All you have to do is apply and come do a ride-along with us for the day.
Station visits are always welcome as well.
Yeah.
You can just come by, knock on the door, have a cup of coffee with us now that COVID restrictions are being lifted. I don't think there's a single firehouse out there that'll turn you around. If you're willing and you're eager to learn about this career, then there's definitely there will be people that are going to be out there to help you out.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. Well, station visits, as we transition back into opening the world, California, there's a process you can go through on the website to be able to do that, which is excellent. And so we do have time for one additional question. I know I already said that, but we're going to jump in and take one more.
Well, I'm going to squeeze two into one then. Daniel Jensen would like to know, with a schedule of 4896, also keeping in mind with shift trades, what is the furthest you can live from Cosumnes Fire and or other fire departments? And also, Victoria Alvarez would like to know, kind of on a similar note, do you, for the most part, feel like you get enough time with your family with a schedule like that?
Ooh,
Good question.
you did it on a very good, these are good questions.
The first part?
Yeah, go ahead.
So with the 4896, let me see. I'm sorry, could you repeat the first part again? I was already absorbed in the second portion of that question.
Yes, with a schedule of 4896, also keeping in mind with shift trades, what is the furthest you can live from your fire department, basically?
So for our department, there are no restrictions for as far as you can live. I know there are some specific departments that do have a 90-mile radius, or you must live within the city limits. For our department, we have people that commute up to 2 hours, hour and a half. It's just all pretty much what you're willing to deal with.
Okay.
Other portion of the question, I'll let you handle that. It's family time.
Family time? Yeah, so working in the fire service is not easy. It takes it affects the person doing it, the firefighter, and also affects their family. We work 48 hours at a time, so there's days and nights where we are up working all day and all night, and it takes an understanding spouse, family, kids to know, when they come home, sometimes they need to rest. And that's just the reality of it. So it will bleed over into your personal life. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But the reward of this career and the positive impact that we can have on our community is definitely worth it, in my opinion anyway. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but there is an impact at home. I mean, we come home and we're tired, and unfortunately we have to see things that aren't always pleasant, and those things stick with us for the long haul. And it helps that we all can talk about it together. And sometimes it helps if you can talk about it at home. Sometimes not. Everybody's different and handles that differently. But that's just my opinion.
Such a human response. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump right into this next question. And we might get a little sentimental on you guys, but you guys brought it there first. So can you tell us about any of the aspects that make working for Cosumnes Fire Department special to you? And so we'll start right here in studio.
I think to me, what makes Cosumnes Fire Department special is our involvement in the community. We have an abundance of community outreach programs, from Vive Life programs, the life jacket rental, car seat install, just tons of them to go around. We're heavily involved with the community as well with, not programs, what's it called?
CPR classes.
CPR classes.
Change, Vital Life program.
In addition to that, the community is rapidly growing, and we are rapidly growing with that, with the community as well, adding additional stations and additional personnel, apparatus. That's what makes it special to me. Our involvement with the community now, we're big enough, but we're not too big to where we can't really reach everybody.
Awesome. And so how about you?
Mine's pretty easy. It's a little more selfish, sorry. I remember being a young paramedic and working in this county, and I remember sitting at the hospital being a firefighter outsider. I didn't work for the fire department at the time. And I remember being very intimidated by people, the fire department especially. And they're big, tough, macho. And I vividly remember a few people from Cosumnes Fire going out of their way to talk to me and just ask me how I was doing. And those folks will never know how much that meant to me at that time. It was a big deal. And that's when I knew that's the place that I want to work, because it said a lot about who they were as individuals and who we are as a department. So I was fortunate enough to get hired, and I've found that to be true, that we all take care of each other. We all genuinely care about each other. We give each other a hard time too, but that comes with the territory. And as I got further into my career, I was like, wow, this is a great place to work. We have awesome people. We have good equipment. There's opportunities for growth. If you want to be part of the rescue program, you can do that. If you want to teach classes, you can do that.
College.
Help out at the college. We have a CRC internship program. I feel very supported from day one up until now. By the Cosumnes Fire Department, and I'm so thankful every day. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else, but that's just me.
It's just such an incredible answer. Who would you like to get to remotely to answer that question next?
Sure, let's go with Tyson.
Yeah, mine's pretty similar to Cap Mello's. I really love Cosumnes Fire Department. It's that perfect size, again, kind of like he was saying, but we have 8 stations, approximately 150 line personnel. So we're not so small that we don't have a variety or diversity of operations, but yet we're not so big where you just get lost in the crowd. Captain Wynn, Nick Mello, we're first name. I know everybody in the fire department by first name, if not their spouses as well. We hang out together off duty. So it really got that family feel. But then again, we're big enough that we have a rescue program. We've got swift water rescue. We've got the boat. We've got the ladder truck. We've got Type 3 apparatus with a huge involvement in the statewide OES system. So when you see the big fires on TV, the big forest fires, we have a huge involvement with that. And we send out, whether it's overhead personnel or fire engines with firefighters on them to go lend aid. So just really, again, diversity of operations and diversity of people. I mean, just look at us. We're just the perfect reflection of the demographic that we serve. And it's just, again, an awesome place to work. I call it's my second family, my home away from home. And again, I wouldn't want to work anywhere else.
Awesome. And thank you so much for sharing that. You guys, everyone's smirking. What's so funny?
I feel like Tyson's shared pretty much my personal sentiments. We hire good people. We want to be around. I've been off duty hanging out with a lot of these folks. And that's pretty much it. I feel the same way. That's why I'm smirking, because I'm happy. The goal is to come to work and go home okay with the things that we deal with, the stressors that we go through. We're very real about life in itself, in that you take a lot into work from home and you take a lot home from work. And so being kind and compassionate towards one another, being professional for our community and being there for each other, that's what this department's all about. So.
For me personally, I knew Captain Nguyen my very first fire station visit ever. And now I currently work under him as his firefighter at the rescue house, and just joined him on the USAR task force. And so it's pretty cool to see that. And he's kind of watched me grow. I've been able to work with him and learn from him. So it's been a whole step. And we're at this department where he just didn't disappear. He didn't end up on the north side of the county or south side. Now we work at the same station together. But it's a very cool place to work. Like everybody's been saying, there's a ton of opportunities for growth, whether it's promotions or even just hobbies. Do you want to be the next person teaching the academy? Go ahead. You want to teach the whole department a new trick with force ball entry? Go ahead. You want to teach what you learned at a different type of hose pull or whatever it may be? Go ahead. And you have the support from so many people, not just from down on the line, but our chiefs. They'll call us. They know us by name. You're not just a random number or a random person in the department. They can pick you out. Each one of every single person, from the new recruits all the way to people that are about to retire, they know your first, your last name, and for the most part, your story and your most recent kind of personal life.
All right, Moss, let's hear from you.
They all hit it on the head of the nail by now. You know, it definitely is like a family feel at Cosumnes, which is something that I really appreciate because I'm from Southern California. All my family's in Los Angeles. It's just me and my wife up here, and we don't have any other family that's close to us. So it really means a lot that I can bond with everyone at work and hang out with them on my time off. It makes it definitely a home away from home, and I couldn't be more appreciative of that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for each of you just kind of sharing why your department is so important to you and why it's special to you. Several themes that I heard throughout all of your answers are just family, mentorship, support, training, and growth. And so, you know, some of you in your answers, you actually kind of made me tear up a little bit. And so not the purpose of this event, but for you at home watching or wherever you are, if you're interested in a department with those themes as the focus, as the foundation, you know, you're hearing from Cosumnes Fire Department today, reach out to them, ask questions, do a station visit. They have a process for you online, but definitely get out and meet the firefighters here today. You don't know this, but when they walked in the door, each one of them just grinning from ear to ear, just so happy to be here. And we're so happy to be able to put on this event for you. So just know that we at Cal-JAC, we're committed to increasing your access to resources to support you on your journey into the fire service. So we are excited to be able to give away a free written test prep class and a Cal-JAC swag bag to one grand prize winner. So we've entered all of you into the giveaway drawing. So let's find out who our lucky winner is today.
Congratulations to Dominic Martin. You are our grand prize winner. We will be sending you an email with directions to redeem your prize.
Good stuff. And we put very, very good goodies inside your swag bag. So share if you want, or we won't judge you if you don't want to share. But thank you so much for tuning in, and a huge thank you to all of you from Cosumnes that are here with us today. And so just for all of your insights as well. We'd love to hear your feedback for candidates, for those of you watching at home or from your cars, wherever you are. We'd love to hear your feedback. So please complete our brief survey so that we can incorporate your thoughts into future episodes. We look forward to having you join us for the next Recruitment in the Spotlight featuring a new department next month. So look out for details in your email and on our Becoming a Firefighter social media channels very soon. That's right. So if you don't already follow us at Becoming a Firefighter, make sure that you join, make sure that you do start to follow us so that you can stay up to date on the latest job announcements and resources to help you on your path into the fire service. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you really want to be the very first to receive the updates, make sure that you turn on your notifications for our Becoming a Firefighter pages. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching, and have a great evening.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome.